Hey everyone, welcome to Rationable. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I have a person on for an amazing interview, but someone who I have been quite an admirer of. Not for a very long time because I've just recently discovered his YouTube channel and his podcast, but this is definitely going to be a very interesting conversation. Vimoh, welcome to Rationable. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Abhijit. The pleasure is all mine.
I have always had this problem with really educating myself about Indian religions because such a vast amount
Yeah,
of material out there is based on Christian worldviews and on now becoming more frequently Muslim worldviews.
yeah,
Where a lot of ex-Muslims are making a lot
mm,
of content to
yeah.
educate people about the problems with the religion. But it's very rare to find an equivalent for Hinduism, which anyways, Hinduism is very hard to find. So I'd love to hear how you would define it.
See, I run into the same problem, and I have seen Western atheists struggle with this so much that when I started doing this, I figured that I really need to come up with a way to actually deal with this because Hinduism tends to be slippery. You cannot come to any single conclusion about it. You talk to a person and you say, "Hey, this belief is wrong," and he'll say, "I don't believe in it," and he will have 10 other beliefs which you hadn't heard of till now, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the main reason I do the live stream is because I cannot deal with this stuff by making YouTube videos about, okay, so today we are going to debunk Hinduism. It cannot be done. You cannot have 10 reasons Hinduism is false because there will be 20 people who say, I don't agree with any of these 10 reasons. And here are 25 more reasons that you need to debunk. You'll be spending your lifetime doing it.
It's a
So
very
what I
good
do
way
is
to run
just
a YouTube channel.
whoever comes, I ask them, what do you believe and why?
Hmm.
And I start there. Then there is no scope for ambiguity because it's a direct face to face conversation. So
But
even if it's a Hindu who has incorporated a little bit of Abrahamic thought into it, even if it's a Christian who believes that he's actually Hindu, even if it's someone who says, I have no religion, but the universe is conscious. I just start there. Okay, that is a belief. Let's go step by step through it. I think
but
that is the best way to do it.
that's a very good strategy, definitely. But is Hinduism a religion from your perspective?
It's too big a question, and I give a simple answer saying if I pick up a government form in the list of religions, is Hinduism mentioned? If it is, then it's a religion.
Oh, that's
Your
that's very
philosophical
straightforward, and
sophistication can go F itself. If it's a religion, according to a, like, if I go out and ask someone, hey, what's your religion? They say Hindu.
yeah, pretty
They
much.
don't say, but what do you mean by religion? Is it Advaita Vedanta? Is it Charvak school? Is it Nirishwarwad? Nobody does that. As far as normal people and normal conversations are concerned, it's a religion. And that's what I go by. If someone wants to talk about the nuances of it, I'm happy to do, but come on my live stream and do it.
Ah, because I'm honestly, I have met people who have basically said Hinduism isn't a religion.
Those
It's
are diversions. Those are diversions
right. No,
designed for a Western audience.
no, but that's fine. But I'm talking about my own friends who I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
Hinduism
but
is,
you and I will also count as Westernized, right?
yeah, relatively, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Urban Western sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. So they said it's a life philosophy. I'm like, listen, you have certain supernatural beings that most people believe in who represent the part of Hinduism that they have. And they spend a significant amount of their time and money investing in praying to those supernatural beings and asking them for things that you just like you would for any god.
Yeah.
There are many gods.
Mm,
There are places where those gods are worshipped. There
mm.
are forms in which those gods are worshipped. And that's what makes it a religion. But it is very slippery, I'll give you that. It's,
Yeah, it's been as slippery. I think several layers of oil are applied on it on an everyday basis. It's
well,
not naturally slippery. It is maintained as slippery.
yeah, exactly. Which makes it very hard to define and very hard to refute in very specific
In
terms.
general terms, yeah, it is hard to refute. In general terms, I suppose any religion will be hard to refute, but it is easier when it is Abrahamic because there are some foundations to it. God exists. There's a
Yeah,
prophet or a son of God. And if you don't believe in them, your claim to that religion is significantly reduced. You
exactly.
can have, Islam has the Ahmadiyya sect, or Shia and Sunnis are there. Christianity has broken up so many times. There are like uncountable numbers of churches just across America, forget the world. And
Exactly.
Hinduism is the same, but there are fewer foundational claims in Hinduism.
And scriptures.
Yeah, that's true. There's an attempt to make the Bhagavad Gita and some into some kind of central scripture, but that is also not true because there are many Hindus who will completely reject the Bhagavad Gita and still continue to call themselves Hindu.
Yeah, and there are so many of these. There's the Bhagavad Gita, there are the Upanishads, there are the Vedas, which a lot of people say that is the center of Hinduism. but it's
Most of them have not read them.
exactly. And he's going to sit through and read every single word of those things.
No,
And
I'm saying even the people who propose
who
these
read
books
those
are
books.
the
Yeah.
foundations of the religion have not read them. The other day on my live stream, by the way, it's a funny incident. The other day on my live stream, somebody came and said, the Bhagavad Gita mentions the stratosphere and the layers of the atmosphere. How
Mhm.
do you answer that? I said, okay, where did you find this out? He sent me a graphic. And the graphic says, Krishna says this, chapter and verse. I said, okay, let's open the chapter and verse. Chapter and verse was not about that. It was something else entirely. And I said, do you think this mentions the atmospheric levels? He said, no. Okay, bye. There is random stuff floating around where people are
Ah,
talking about quantum physics and atmosphere, and anytime science finds something, there is a small cottage industry which starts making memes and
oh,
assigning random chapter and verse to Bhagavad Gita, and
yeah.
it's not even there.
But how does one, like, for example, you take me, I haven't read any of the religious texts. I haven't managed to get past Genesis in the Bible, let alone because that in itself is so densely nonsensical that it boggled my mind. I was like, dude, I can't do this right now. But for atheists among us who want to educate themselves more and become more knowledgeable on the Hindu religion, what can they look for? What are the books they can read? What are the websites they can go to? What would you recommend?
I don't know what I can recommend, but I do think that it is important to study. My advice would be, to whatever extent it is possible for you to engage with a religion, do. To whatever extent it is possible to engage with people who want to tell you that the religion is true, do. But always do it on a case by case basis, because you'll still run into people who say the Bhagavad Gita is amazing and they have not read it. Or I sometimes, like, my favorite thing is, I just ask people, tell me who the father of the Pandavas were, and the common answer might be Pandu, but they had five, like every single one of them came from a different father, and
Yeah.
all the fathers were gods. So if someone is unable to answer that basic question, I cease conversation. I said, you need to learn more about your own religion before you can teach me to follow it. Because I have run a YouTube channel for 2 years which has devoted to mythology. I've written a comic book series which is based on Hindu mythology. I need to understand that we are on the same level as far as knowledge of all this is concerned before I can start conversing. But I would recommend a book by Ambedkar called Riddles in Hinduism. In fact, at some point, I think I should make a book list for Indian atheists. I have tried to do it in a broken way many times. There is a book by Meghnad Desai called Who Wrote the Bhagavad Gita. I would encourage people to make a clear distinction between books written by Hindus for white people and books written by people who have been on the oppressed side within Hinduism about Hinduism. Those are the books we should go for. The books written by Dalit Bahujan Adivasi authors about Hinduism are the places where Indian atheists should start as far as reading about religion is concerned.
Mhm.
And of course, I would also recommend that you people read the Quran, the Bible, and the Bhagavad Gita, because these get thrown around the most. Like some time ago, there was this proposal, right? Should there be a religious study class in schools? I think there should be. But as long as it is taught like a religious study class and people don't start using it for preaching, it should be taught by religious scholars. It should be taught by people who are scholars of comparative religion, not priests from any religion, because that will
Exactly.
just mess it up.
And you need to teach every religion separately and equally, given equal weightage to
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, we have had comparative religious studies as courses in universities for quite some time. Maybe a school version of it can be prepared. If that is what is done, I'm totally in favor of it. Because somebody was asking me some time ago, how do you bring up an atheist child? And my answer was, I wouldn't. Why would I bring up a child an atheist? I would bring up the child as a human being. Whatever they choose to believe is up to them. My duty as a parent would be to expose them to all kinds of thoughts. So I would tell them about Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, but also that there are people who don't believe in any of it. Most people
Absolutely.
become prisoners of the religion because they are not exposed to anything else.
And
That is what you should fight. We should expose them to more things. And most people will make their own decisions.
absolutely. And as so many skeptics and atheists personalities in the US have said, you have to teach people not what to think, but
Yeah,
how.
but how to think exactly.
And
In fact, for quite a long time, my YouTube channel banner just had those words: "How to think."
that's nice. I did consider that as one of the logos, as
Yeah,
one of the mottos for Rationable as well. Because I feel that the teaching of critical thinking and comparative religion and the openness to different cultures, those kind of values should be taught starting from school, from preschool, even from in very basic forms, just to educate people. But I think that the powers that be, which are governmental and educational institutions, I think would be very resistant towards
oh,
those
absolutely, there will be.
because
Which is
they
why the internet matters so much.
exactly. So here we are, we're doing
Yeah,
a scan on
yeah,
the internet to educate as many people as we can. You've been doing this for the last couple of years.
yeah.
You think you've made a dent? Have you changed any minds yet?
If by any minds you mean more than one, then yes.
Ah, nice.
A lot of people who come on my live stream are actually not atheists. They're religious people who find some merit in the way I talk about religion. So they come. And I would like to think that I'm making small dents all over the place. It is almost never possible to have a conversation with a religious person and the conversation ends and they give up their religion. Like my goal with whenever I talk to people is that this is a conversation starter.
Mhm.
This is where we are. I understand your point of view. I hope you understand mine. Come back. And if they find the experience stimulating enough, they will come back. And in 4 or 5 meetings, maybe they'll start thinking something. And if they don't, that's still okay because the content of our conversation is online and other people can watch it and maybe they will think something. Yeah.
I've noticed that the way you converse with your callers has a kind of a Socratic quality to it. So you have the Socratic method, otherwise known as street epistemology, just epistemology, and the way that
Yeah.
he has been promoted by Anthony Magnabosco.
Magnabosco, yeah. I'm a huge fan of his work and I try to base my approach to conversations on his. I actually recently got the book that he was inspired by, which is a manual for creating atheists.
Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah. So I'm reading that right now and I'm trying to sharpen my methods, or not sharpen because that sounds rude. I'm trying to make my method more effective
Mm.
because usually it just becomes, I recommend that you read this book. Acha, I recommend that you read that book. The authors of those books are having a proxy discussion through us. We're not talking to each other.
Exactly.
Whenever someone sends me a link, in fact, I've banned links on my YouTube comments. If
Mm.
you want to make an argument, you're going to have to use your own words because it's very easy to throw a link at someone. It's very easy to, you go read these 5 books. Yeah, like he's going to. Nobody's going to do it. They're going to throw the books at
Yeah.
him and feel smug and he's going to ignore you completely and no gain is going to be made. Talk to each other. That's my point.
Exactly. This have to have the conversations.
Yeah.
But as a recommendation, I'm going to recommend a book.
Well, good timing, by the way.
Exactly. So Peter Boghossian, who wrote a manual creating atheists, has made a sequel which is much less controversial because it's not just about a manual for creating atheists. It's called How to Have Impossible Conversations. If I remember correctly.
Anthony Magnabosco, I think at some point in an interview, I remember, maybe it was him or someone else, he said this book should not have been called How to Create an Atheist. It should be called How to Create Doubt. Yeah.
Absolutely. I found the name of the book was very objectionable, but I did still read it. But I find the sequel that he's done a much better job of clarifying, and it's not just about atheism. He's talking about any kind of conversation.
Yeah.
It can be political, it can be about just basic beliefs about ghosts or
I'll definitely get my hands on this book
Yeah,
because that's the first thing that I noted was that the book is black and on it says in red how to create an. It sounds like that book that the Scarlet Witch is holding in the MCU. Like,
Yeah.
I shall now create an atheist. That sort of thing is happening. The dark hold, yeah. Like the book that if religious people touch it, they burst into flames or something. It's not very helpful.
Okay, so now for people who have just been introduced to you, where can they find you? Where can they get in touch? Can they get onto your calls?
My YouTube live stream is Vimoh Live. It's at youtube.com/@Vimoh Live. And my YouTube channel where I mostly post shorts and occasionally a video is youtube.com/Vimoh. So /Vimoh and /Vimoh Live are the two YouTube things I have. You can come subscribe to either of them and we'll talk. On YouTube, I go live on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. It usually happens for 1.5 hours or 2 hours at max. But we take callers. People call in. We just talk about what they believe in, and these are chill conversations. Occasionally, some fun emerges from it, but mostly it's interesting. As that's what I've been told. And if you want to listen to the audio transcripts of these, you can just find Vimoh Live on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Ghana.com, any audio platform, and search for Vimoh Live, VIMOH LIVE, and the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast or listen to it.
Wonderful. Are you also on any social media like Twitter still? And
yeah, I'm on Instagram, but I got a threat last week that my account may be deleted because I used the word Brahminism because apparently that's hate speech. So no, it's not hate speech, but Instagram is hand in glove with certain nefarious people in power. So we shall drop it. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I post shorts there also, reels rather.
cool.
My handle is Vimoh, VIMOH, and the same on Twitter.
Wonderful.
Yeah. In fact, I don't even join any web service if I can't get the username Vimoh.
That's good. That's a good way to do it. I have compromised multiple times and be rationable in most places because apparently there's another rationable out there. I don't know who it is.
But yeah, it's very heartbreaking. You come up with a brilliant name. I'm sure nobody has it. And then turns out 20 people have it.
Exactly. And rationable.com, I was searching for that all over the place. Apparently, it's not available and it's for sale for some few $1,000s.
Yeah, I
So
made that mistake.
somebody's
I had Vimoh.com. I
uh,
let it go because I was not getting any traffic, and now it costs a few lakhs. So I have Vimoh.in, where my podcast website is www.vimoh.in.
Thank you so much, Vimoh, for being on Rational. It's been an amazing conversation. I'm sure we'll have many more. We'll have
Yep.
more
Thanks,
discussions.
Abhijit.
Thank you very much. See you on your podcasts, and I'll catch you later. Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to find out more, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to berationable.com and you can subscribe to the podcast on any podcasting service. And
Thanks, Abhijit. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye bye.
bye. See ya.